we've all got the same goal. We all want to go to the end of the season with a shout at that championship.
I've done it once, we can do it again.
Two of the best drivers we've ever seen in the championship.
And Sutton has done, he's taken the lead.
The checkered flag is at the ready. Ash Sutton wins. What a way to start the new era. Ash Sutton wins. 27th career win for Tom Ingram. These two could be rivals for years to come.
Come on!
Ash Sutton and Tom Ingram take the battle all the way to Brands Hatch. And that battle starts right here, our final qualifying session of the season for the final three races on the full Grand Prix circuit here at Brands Hatch. It has been a dramatic season of racing. Ash Sutton coming here with those 10 wins, just 2 to Tom Ingram. It's a real credit to how he has been banking points that he's still in the title fight. The Grand Prix circuit just under 2.5 miles long. Josh Cook is the lap record holder, and he was quickest in free practice 2. As far as the championship is concerned, though, of course, it is Ash Sutton versus Tom Ingram. The gap between the two, 45 points coming into the weekend. Jake Hill, third, out of the mix for the championship itself, but he could get with a runner-up, and Colin Turkington is fourth. Then Josh Cook, already crowned Independence champion, ahead of Dan Camish. Dan Rowbottom is seventh, and Ricky Collard, a winner here on the road earlier on in the season, is eighth. So it is going to be the final qualifying session of the season very shortly. Drivers getting themselves ready down in the pit lane, running a little bit late because of earlier delays here, so that's why Carrera Cup GB qualifying has just finished. But the cars will be out on track very shortly. Perfect conditions as well. And we'll find out what the grid is going to look like. There's a point at stake for pole position. Ash Sutton and Tony Carosa discuss the game plan for the next 30 minutes. And really, Ash just needs to keep on scoring. And he can afford to spend the weekend really sitting on the back of Tom Ingram, not letting him outscore him by too many, and the title is there. But that's not necessarily the way that Ash goes about winning a championship. This qualifying session, inevitably, is going to be focused on those two drivers. But there are a whole host of others that want to be up at the pointy end, and even if they can't win the championship, they can win races. And to do that, they need the best grid position possible going into the first race tomorrow. So very shortly, drivers are going to be getting on board, and then we will be good to go in readiness for the final qualifying session of the season.
Well, Tim, here we are, season finale at Brands Hatch. Consistently, my favourite race of the year every year. I just love the buzz of this place on our final race weekend.
Yeah, and Alan Gow's even arranged some decent weather for a change. We're normally standing here in the pouring rain and freezing cold, but this just sets the atmosphere, doesn't it, for a great track to sort out the final positions in the championship. And there's still a lot to play for.
Well, as you say, so many stories across the weekend, and one of the ones that we're going to be looking at is the Jack Sears Trophy. Let's go and have a word with the two guys who are in close contention for that at the moment. We've spoken to them about it before, the Poundmax Racing drivers. Andrew, you're currently in the lead in this one, aren't you?
I am, yep. So, yeah, we've said it before, said it again, you know, it's super tight. It's been a really great battle all season. I think there's 5 different drivers have led it, so, yeah. It's been a season-long battle, but, you know, it's a really good experience to be fighting for a championship, you know, in the British Touring Car Championship. You know, hopefully it stands me well to maybe someday challenge for the overall title. So, yeah, look, it's still tight, but had a really good free practice there, and the feeling's good. And, yeah, it's great to drive a touring car around the GP loop. So, if nothing else, we're going to have some fun this weekend.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, coming off the sort of relatively short Silverstone circuit with only 4 corners. You come here and this is a real driver circuit. The car's moving around. You don't do every lap within a tenth of a second. You're experimenting as you're getting around. It's a real great track to really sort it out.
Yeah, and once you get out of that rhythm, you know, on a lot of other tracks, the in-lap, you can be within a couple of tenths pretty easy, as you know. But here, you know, as soon as your mindset switches, you're 2 seconds down. It just shows you how much commitment it takes out the back. So, yeah, it's, you know, my favourite bit of track in the UK.
Back to the Jack Sears. 9 Jack Sears wins this year. You're 18 points ahead of Mikey, but it's still very much open, isn't it, for this weekend with 3 races?
yeah, it was always going to be tight. Like, Mikey's been driving really, really well and has been a very tough competitor. So, yeah, you know, Sam as well in that pretty fast forward. So, yeah, and, you know, Dexter is still in with the shout. So, yeah, look, anything can happen, but just trying to approach it same as every other weekend because, as you said, we've had the most wins and currently have the most points, so something's going right.
Well, looking at the looking at the timings in free practice too, Mikey, you seem to be quite on it here. P4, feeling good?
Yeah, I mean, I've got no choice but to be on it if I want to try and challenge for the title. But yeah, the car felt mega out there. The first session was very much me getting my eye in. You know, first time in a touring car around this track, as we've just discussed. You know, it requires probably the most commitment out of any circuit we visit in the country. So we had a good start, nice easy start to the morning. But yeah, knuckled down on that one to get a P4. Yeah, we're very happy with that.
Andrew was just saying it's like one of his favourite bits of tarmac in the UK. Where does it rank for you?
It's out there. I mean, for me, this is my home round as well, so this is probably my #1 favourite track. I'd like to back that up with some good results as well, but I just think it's got a bit of everything. You know, it's got the atmosphere, it's got the circuit. It always produces great racing, and you know, to drive out there, you don't get that many laps around the GP circuit in testing and that. So it's very much, if you have got any advantage here as a driver, then you can really use it to the best of you.
I've got to ask you a quick and slightly mean question. Did you get given a hard time after race 1 at Silverstone by anybody?
Oh, I didn't think we were going to bring that up. But,
Sorry.
yeah, I mean, to be fair to the team, you know, I think they were pretty, well, you know, they pulled me in and they explained what happened, and they took a lot of the responsibility, which I guess as a driver makes you forget about it a little bit quicker and just go and focus on the next race, because you know, we all make mistakes. You know, us drivers make mistakes and lock up and black spot tyres all the time. You know, so it's a team game, and just means we'll have to put it on pole and try again.
Apologies for reminding you then. Sorry about that. I have a nasty habit of doing that, don't I? Good luck, guys.
Good luck.
We'll see you across the weekend. Let's take a wander on down. As you say, lovely weather here. And aside from it meaning we don't have to dress up in overcoats and carry umbrellas, it's actually going to make a big difference in terms of the racing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've got a new thing this weekend, always bringing something new to the party. So the tyre situation is quite different for this weekend. So they have, in terms of new sets, they have one brand new set of soft tyres, 2 brand new sets of mediums, but then their carryover tyres, the ones that have been previously used, is a free choice. Now, going back to the races before where we've had the soft tyre in play, we have had wet races, so those tyres haven't been used much. So most of the guys have got 3 sets of carryover soft tyres, and they're going to be able to use them in qualifying. We only ever seen that before at Knockhill, so I expect new qualifying lap records and some really good races with the option tyre playing in.
How much of an advantage is it going to give them time-wise?
In qualifying, it could be probably as much as 3 tenths, 3-4 tenths. Quite a big chunk but they're trying to set the cars up for the different tyres, both for qualifying and for the race. Yeah. So it's quite a challenge.
Right, we're outside Speedworks. I'm just popping. I was hoping that we might come across Rory and Ricky, who
they're close in the championship, aren't they?
Well, exactly. That's why I wanted to have a chat with them. Never mind. Well, let's talk about them rather than... Oh, here we go. Who's that coming out? Well, here's Ricky anyway. Ricky. Sunglasses ready. Hi, Ricky. Yeah, good. Here comes Rory as well. Come on, put your lunch down, Rory. Run on in. Sorry to disturb you.
I hope that was a healthy lunch.
Having some lasagna there, guys.
Yeah. So sorry to disturb. Well, we're just talking about the fact that you guys are pretty close in the championship, aren't you? How does that play out in terms of, you know, inside the garage?
I haven't really thought about it.
No, to be fair, we're out here helping each other. I just focus on myself, Rory focuses on himself, and together we work together as a team. And you know that it shows. You know, we've been teammates for it's our 2nd year together, and you know I couldn't ask for a better teammate. He is, you know, his breath smells and he stinks a little bit, but other than that, he's great.
Harsh.
Love you, mate.
Look, there's only a few points between you in the championship. Well, you know, we always say in motorsport, your biggest opposition is your teammate. You know, you can't tell me you're not trying to beat each other. Obviously, Rory's had a win now. You had a win cruelly taken away from you. I was still saying that at the start of the year. But, you know, that little pecking order going into the end of the year, it's always quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it is important, isn't it? It's like you're always trying to beat your teammates, and I want to beat Ricky. Ricky wants to beat me, but
That helps us though.
It's like it definitely does. It's made us stronger, isn't it? It's like Ricky came in, like even last year in the first test, I was like, wow, this guy's quick. And straight away there was always something in the data that I could find that he would help me with. So I had a really strong season last year. I put a lot of that down to having a great strong teammate like Ricky, who's also not just super fast and giving me information, but really open. And you know, I think I would say Ricky's been a bit stronger this year than I have, and I'm starting to find my groove again. But yeah, it's nice having a bromance going on here now.
But it just means that, like, if one of you's having a bit of bad luck at the weekend, the team has still got another race-winning driver on the, that can get a result.
Yeah, I would agree, and I kind of took a bit of the pressure off me at the start of the year because I wasn't feeling so good. This guy was doing an amazing job, and at least there was a Toyota near the front, right? So yeah.
Final. Sorry, I was just going to say, because we're going to have to wrap up in a second. Just final quick thoughts heading into qualifying. What kind of shape are you in?
Just have a look at that car. Man, it looks like a rally car. It looks like it's just come off the Paris-Dakar. So if I can just keep the thing on the black stuff, we're looking quite good. So I'm really, really happy. And like I say, we're working hard together, but I just need to keep it on the black stuff.
I think Jonathan Palmer saved some money on the grass can, hasn't he?
Yeah, my dad's not in the aggregate business, so yeah, collards.
Good luck. See you out there, and keep it on the black stuff.
Good luck, guys.
Tim Harvey and Louise Goodman earlier on in the day doing their now traditional pit walk before we get into the meat of qualifying. The green flag has now waved, the cars are out on circuit, and so 30 minutes of qualifying is underway in perfect conditions. Ash Sutton, you're riding with. Is he going to take, if you like, the weekend by the scruff of the neck and try and grab pole and try and win races, or is he just going to bank points? Well, banking isn't really Ash Sutton's style. We know how aggressive he is, and that's why we love watching him, Tim.
Absolutely, and I know he's been saving his best tyres. I talked about the tyre allocation in that piece with Louise, and he will have one brand new set of softs, which I'm sure he'll be aiming to use in this qualifying session, because track position in qualifying is so important, and he's still got good sets of softs to use in the race that he has to use them. So I fully expect to do that. They've probably got a new set of mediums as well to do a banker lap. Right. I don't know, we're not going to know, I don't think, which tyres are on at any particular time, but he's got a new set of Michelin's of mediums he can use, and a new set of softs.
Now, normally at this juncture, we talk not only about drivers of those Fords, but also about the team and how it's the team's home race. Well, home is moving, and so is the name. Motorbase is no more. It is now Alliance Racing, the team that operates these cars. Pete Osborne has renamed the squad, and so from here on in, all the championship points allocations and all the reference to the team will take us a while to get used to saying it, I'm sure, after what feels like 100 years of the other name. But Alliance Racing, we'll pin it on the wall when we don't forget. But the new title for the team, new premises up in Rugby they're going to move to shortly as well, and so a totally new era for the team under Pete Osborne's ownership and vision as well, and what a season he's had.
Yeah, great season. He's invested. He's got the commercial backing from Napa Racing, and he's done a very good job. And rightly, he feels he wants to name the team his own name. And the new move to the new premises, which was the Mitsubishi Rally Art World Rally Championship premises up in Rugby, which is some 30,000 square feet. It's a big premises, and I think they want to move and expand into GT racing as well. So big plans ahead for Alliance Racing.
Yeah, there'll be a chance to hear from Pete Osborne tomorrow in the main show. But for now, Tom Ingram making his way down the pit lane. Just to remind you, it is 45 points between Ash Sutton and Tom Ingram. Really, for Ting's point of view, he needs Ash to have a really bad qualifying and a really bad first race and a really bad second race while he is up at the front, and that's unlikely.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be doing exactly the same as Ash, trying to put the thing on the front row. Remember, he was on pole here last year. He turned up here last year with a very, very fast car, and I'm sure he's hoping to do exactly the same again. He stuck it on pole and won the first two races, and that was, really big part of him winning the championship last year. I'm sure he'd love to do the same again, and as you say, some misfortune happened to Ash Sutton, but they're both champions. They both know exactly what they're doing. And never rule out the unexpected.
Well,
but
no.
however much of a dead cert it might look on paper, it never is in touring cars.
We had that great scene last year, didn't we, where it was Ash that presented the Champions Trophy to Tom, and he specifically wanted to do that. And I wonder whether, if it goes back the way of Ash at the end of tomorrow, Ting will go and hand the trophy back to Ash Sutton. It will be interesting to see the reaction between the two drivers. We've got a lot of mileage to get through, though.
He gave him the #1, didn't he? The #1 sticker to go on the car, which was a very kind gesture.
Yeah. Now, we've got, inevitably, rear-wheel drive laps being offered up. Front-wheel drive cars have been in to do their tyre cross. So right now, it is Adam Morgan the fastest, but it doesn't really mean very much until we've got proper front-wheel drive times by which to compare. Here comes Colin Turkington then, up towards the timing line. And he's done a 1:35.2 as his best, and that's a 1:30.9 rather now, that puts him at the very top of the times. Of course, he's been 4 times a race winner and yet not in the hunt for the championship, whereas Tom Ingram with his 2 race wins is still up there.
Tom's been very consistent, and that's the key to it, as well as winning races. It was fitting, I thought, at Silverstone that Colin Turkington won that 150th race win for BMW in the 3rd race there. He's been a stalwart of many years, obviously, for BMW, so that was good to see him. And you can see the white sidewalls on the tyres. When you can see the white sidewalls, and they're not easy to see, that is the soft tyre, and that we know goes well on the BMW, especially in these warm conditions.
Yeah, normally at this time of the season, Dick Bennett and the rest of the crew are hating the weather because it's neither one thing or the other. This is perfect BMW weather. It's not only warm and dry, but it's consistent.
Yeah, it's absolutely great for them. This is just what they wanted. So often they're saying, oh, the tyre doesn't suit these cold conditions, but this is manna from heaven. It's just a shame that, whoa, massive slide there coming through Sheen Curve. That was Ricky Collard. He told us he was going to keep it neat and tidy, but he only knows one way to drive, doesn't he?
You said that was Ricky Collard as though that was a scoop. I mean, who else would it be on the grass like that? What did he say to you earlier on about keeping it on the black stuff and the car looking like a Paris-Dakar entry? So Ricky Collard on the hybrid. Dan Camish has now gone fastest as we see front-wheel drive times being put in the mix. Colin Turkington fights back and goes quicker still on a 1:30.637. Then Stephen Jelly goes up to the top of the times.
And then Sutton with his first flyer is up there on a 30.229, virtually 30.3.
With Dan Robotham riding shotgun on the road, so Robotham is up to second. Make that Ingram fastest, 1:30.283 by 100th. He's gone top, so it's Tom Ingram at the top of the times right now. And there is Rory Butcher heading up towards Paddock Hill Bend, bouncing over the curb, running wide.
Doesn't help you though, does it? But going wide, but it helped him when he came across the line because he went quickest on a 30.0, 2 tenths up on Ingram's best. Remember, hybrid does play a factor in this qualifying session in terms of the amount of time they've got in seconds over the lap. So Ash Sutton has only 1 second of usage, Tom Ingram 3 seconds. Then it's Jake Hill on 5, Colin Turkington on 7 seconds, Dan Camish on 9, Josh Cook 11, Ricky Collard on 13. Everyone else has 15 seconds use of hybrid.
And the first lap time to be disallowed was from Michael Crease, so he has lost a lap. There over the timing line goes Bobby Thompson, who goes up to 7th in the times in the Team Hard Cupra. Bobby Thompson, well, briefly 7th, but then things shuffle around again. And off the road has gone George Gamble, and he's damaged the front of the car and he's damaged the tyres. And this is going to be a stoppage, I fear, given that the tyre stack has been deranged. Now he's going to get going. He's got damage on the front left, but he's gone off on the Grand Prix. We can see the damage to the tyre barrier. He's moving. It's coming into Sterling's, isn't it? That by the way, out of Sheen Curve.
Yeah, he was desperate not to cause a red flag, wasn't it? Because that will put him out of the rest of qualifying. But the car obviously still moving, and he's got it going, and he'll get it back to the pits. Whether or not the damage is too much to continue, I don't know. But at the moment, George Gamble's 14th, make that 15th as Chilton goes 13th.
Okay, Sutton from Butcher, Ingram from Robotham, Camish from Morgan is the top 6. And we've seen George Gamble off the road. This is how it all happened. Just snapped away, coming out of Sheen Curve, and then backwards to the barriers. Wow, that's quite a hit.
That's a big hit, actually. That's a big hit. Much bigger than we thought from looking at the car. He was lucky that wasn't a concrete wall behind that tyre barrier, because that was a similar sort of impact almost to the one that Dan Camish had up at Donington. But in that instance, there was there's a red flag. They've got to do barrier repair, but he had a tyre stack and an Armco barrier, which of course does deflect much more than a concrete wall. So he's perhaps got away with that lightly, but it was a big accident, very similar to the one that Ricky Collard nearly had, same corner.
Yeah.
Cold left rear tyre, a bit of a twitchy setup, and he lost it.
So we'd almost had the first 10 minutes, not quite. At least there isn't a car to bring back, but they will with that tyre barrier to rebuild. The tyre stack starts to be formed somewhat, tyres dragged away from it, so the team look on at the damage and they'll try and get the car back out if possible. Slightly concerned faces, understandably.
Yeah, he's wide, but as soon as he gets that left rear tyre on the grass that loses that fraction of grip, in it goes. Tyrewall did a very good job to rebound the car though and absorb as much as possible. Ooh.
So it all happened in front of Ingram, didn't it?
It did. Ingram barely lifted off though.
And in the process of all of that, did his fastest lap. So the accident was happening just around him. So everyone back into the pit lane. And what does this do now to people that were on a run with tyres?
Yeah, it just depends on their run programme. I think most people had got a time in at that point. We've got a second covering the top 17 cars. I think pretty much all the people have done a time. Collard hadn't really recovered from that moment, so he's down in 21st. So he probably suffered most out of that. He may have been just getting going on another set of tyres. But look, there's clearly damage to the not just the tyres, but look how floppy the Armco is. That will need some sort of fix. So could be a little while, couldn't it?
I think you're right. Certainly with the tyre barrier needing to be put back into place. George Gamble's team already hard at work. They're big, rugged, strong cars, these. So it's more a case of looking at the battered panels, I think. George is out of the car, but we might be able to hear from him in a moment once he's explained to the team exactly what happened. You can see Louise down there.
And Sam Rich is going down just to look from a technical TOCA point of view about damage to the car and whether it's safe, etc., to carry on. But the mechanics are on it straight away with the ubiquitous duct tape.
Now then, George is there. Louise is there as well. Louise, he's got some explaining to do.
Well, yeah. I mean, George, your helmet's staying on, so you're obviously hoping that the team can get everything sorted. But just tell us how that. It looked like the back end just got away from you.
Yeah, it literally just dropped a back wheel on the grass, and it spun around so quick. So it's not too bad, the car. So we're hoping we can just get back out. It's mainly cosmetic. So. But yeah, just caught me out there on the grass. First time here in front-wheel drive, and it's a little bit of a different style to what I'm used to. So we tried the new tyres then, and it just pushes that last bit more. It just caught me out, unfortunately. So
big old bash, though. It's held up well if you reckon it's just cosmetic.
Yeah, one. Haven't had one like that for a while.
Well, glad you're okay. You feeling okay, yeah?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Good stuff. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Louise. So George Gamble, 17th in the times now, and if the car is allowed back out by the TOCA technical team, we'll see whether he's able to respond. So 10 minutes to sort of offer up an order, and then we go again.
I love the way drivers shrug these things off as if, yeah, it was just a flesh wound. He doesn't realise, of course, we've seen the whole thing on TV, and the team will also see it on TV. He's trying to sort of brush it off as a minor incident. You know, in fairness, he has got away very lightly there, and that's due to the tyres doing their job. But that was a big, big high-speed shunt. He's doing his best Martin Brundle, shrug it off, get back out there, isn't he?
So in the meantime, the Brands Hatch staff are attending to the barriers and trying to put the tyre barrier back into place, put the belts in front.
But I think they have to repair the Armco first, David, because that's very loose. I'm not sure if that can just be done on tyres.
Let's see. Rory Butcher is with Louise.
Rory, a little bit of drama for your teammate, but looking pretty good for you.
Yeah, it's a shame for George. I know he was hoping for a good result there, and I hope he gets back out. But yeah, that was a nice tidy lap I put together. Didn't know where it was going to put me, but it felt fast, and yeah, at the moment we're near the top end, which is nice.
What's the situation with the tyres? Because obviously you've got a lot of freedom this weekend across the sessions to effectively choose which tyres you want to use and when you want to use them.
Yeah, well, it's going to be softs in this session, isn't it? It's kind of, there's only one tyre option, and it's the softs, and just depends how many people have in their back pocket, you know, whether they've saved any for the session or across the year.
And yeah, but the track's really hot and grippy, and it felt really nice.
Which begs the question, how many have you got available?
Enough. We've got enough for another 2 runs, so we're good.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what do you reckon more there is to come time-wise from the car and perhaps from you as well?
It's tricky. It did feel like a really nice lap. You know, it's going to be a small amount, I think, if I find anything. So I think it'd be nice to try and squeak into the 29s. We'll just have to give it our best shot.
Is there such a thing as a perfect lap around here? We were talking before the session about how tricky this circuit really is, and putting an entirely perfect lap together is impossible or doable but not impossible?
Yeah, it's probably impossible, but I think a tidy lap is as good as you'll get. You know, if you can try and be accurate and precise while taking risk, you're kind of halfway there. It's really easy to kind of overdrive out the back and just think, you know, it's a balance of commitment and precision. So yeah, it's one of the hardest circuits in the whole of the country to get right.
Cool. See you back out there. Have a good time. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Lou. So we're under the red flag conditions at the moment. One of the clocks, the course, Ian Watson and his deputy Dave White run this championship from race control. One of those two has gone out in the course car up towards Sheen Curve to go and have a barrier inspection. Now, Ash Sutton currently the fastest by 51 thousandths of a second. While we have a moment, Tim, why don't we have a look at that lap?
That would be lovely. Potential pole lap. Getting a good run coming on to the start finish, the Brabham Straight through Clark Curve. Taking the shortest line, which is close to the pit wall, before moving across to break in as straight line as possible towards that Marshall's post. He gets a nice early entry with good speed, doesn't lose too much time running wide, he's hard on the throttle, and you've got to spot your braking. Look how early he's going down the gears, using a little bit of engine braking. Gets the car rotated nicely mid-corner to accelerate straight out, then down, use a little bit of curb on the left, quite a bit actually, watching out for track limits on the right, using the left helped him not run wide on the exit. Again, braking on the turn, quite difficult, but it's all about how early you get on the throttle, because this is uphill, and this is the long, fast section down through Pilgrims towards Hawthorns. He's already thinking, I've got traffic ahead, I hope I get the rest of this lap clear. You brake on the uphill to settle the car, but again, roll a lot of speed into the corner. Don't hit the curb on the inside. He had the slightest of lifts midway through there. Here you can use the curb, and again, right out to the outside. Oh, wasn't much left there. Down through Dingledale, and the blind turn into Sheen Curve. He'll be right across the curb on the inside. You can tell this is a good lap because he's catching up with the car in front. On the exit here, he's now just got one more corner to do, a settle on the brakes and off the brakes fast into clearways. Look how much speed he rolls in, absolutely perfect, right to the edge of the track, back to the inside to shorten the line, and at the moment, that's our fastest lap of a 30.025.
So Ash Sutton by 51 thousandths of a second ahead of Rory Butcher, and the reason that we are under the red flag like this is because the barrier is being repaired. Good work, very speedily done by the MSV staff and the marshals to get things back underway as quickly as possible. What about the thoughts of the championship leader? Ash is with Lou.
Ash, we've just been having a look at your fastest lap, which is the one that's on provisional pole at the moment. Not much left on the table there.
No, there isn't, but we're actually on a used set of softs, so they're not a completely new set. So I'm hoping we can put the new set on now, and we've got a little bit more left in the back pocket, but realistically the lap was actually on the limit of the car. It's just whether the tyre will give us any more now.
How important is pole position for tomorrow, for the first race?
I mean, of course it's important. It's an extra point as well, but realistically, we know the job we need to do tomorrow. If it means we're starting from the front row and we can get away cleanly, then we'll deal with what we've got in front of us. So we're still going to give it our all now, still try and put the car at the very front. Another pole would be nice, but it's not going to be easy.
How are you feeling? Serious face is on now, isn't it? It's the important time.
Game face now, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's we're down to the nitty gritty now. This is the last pole of the season. It's when all the pressure's on. You've got to deliver in the car. The guys have given me a mega car so far, so down to me now. They've done their bit. My bit is up next.
And obviously, as has been the case so much, very little available to you in terms of boost. How much does that take away from you, or how much of an advantage is the boost to those that have it?
Yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 tenths in terms of hybrid use, but you kind of saw at Silverstone when me and Tom, for example, do have hybrid, you can see the difference. So we are wringing the absolute neck of this car to achieve the lap times we're doing, and it's not an easy job, that's for sure. But the hybrid is a deficit, but we've got to utilise what we've got in front of us.
May not be an easy job, but it's fun to watch. Cheers, Ash. See you later.
So Sutton, Butcher, Ingram, Rowbottom, Camish, Morgan is the order. It was Mikey Doble, of course, that broke that monopoly of the Napa Racing pole positions, and Ash has just touched on the fact that there's an extra point for pole position. To the letter of the law, there is a point awarded to the driver who starts from pole position. Mikey Doble did not start from pole position. He did not get the point. So after all of that, because of the extra green flag lap, yes, the record books will show that he did qualify on pole position, but he didn't get the point for it because he started last of all.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to stop reminding him of that. The only thing I can find to sort of ease his pain is the fact that Laurent Aiello, that highly credited champion, did exactly the same thing at Silverstone. So it is easily done. But yeah, just going back to Ash, of course, okay, it's a provisional pole at the moment, but were he to convert that into pole position, he would equal the record for the most number of pole positions in a season, which is 6, currently held by James Thompson from 2003.
And the records just keep on falling, don't they? He'd be the first man to win the championship in both front and rear wheel drive machinery. He'd have most wins in a season, on it goes. So there he is, ready to get back underway. And Stephen Jelly, 7th fastest, currently with Louise.
Stephen, a good session so far. You've been up there at the top a couple of times. The guys were talking about the fact that this is actually, unusually for this last race, this is nice BMW territory from a weather perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. It's especially on the soft tyre, and the Porsches have been out and they've put down a lot of rubber, so you can get heat in those fronts and use that rubber while it's there early and get that lap in. So we've done that now. I'm sure the track is going to develop a little bit and change, especially with the stoppage. I don't know if there's anything down or not, so let's see where the balance goes, but we've made a great start.
What are you thinking, that as it develops it's likely to come more towards what you guys want, or slightly go away towards the front wheel drive cars?
I mean, the track's quite clean at the moment, so we can probably get a lap in early. The problem comes for us when the other front wheel drive cars start cutting the corners and chucking stuff onto the racetrack. So, you know, we're going to look to get a lap in as quickly as possible, and hopefully the balance is similar to what it was just now.
Final weekend of the season for you. Final weekend of a very long and illustrious career for your race engineer, Andy Miller, is it? Let me just see if we can spot him out there to get him in shot. But just tell us a bit about Andy.
Yeah, he's as grumpy as ever, and he's retiring after he started in 1970 something, and he tells me that about every day. I've been doing this since the 70s. I need to give it up. So. Yeah, he's done really well, and I hope he enjoys his retirement.
I can hear engines firing up, so I don't know if you've got a start time yet, but I'll let you get your head down.
No worries, thank you.
Yeah, course car is back in, Louise, thanks. So we're getting a bit closer to getting things back underway, and as you say, engines are starting to fire in the pit lane, lots with the bonnets up just to get some cool air in, but bit by bit we're getting closer. You've seen the recovery work and the clear-up work. There's a question mark over whether George Gamble's car is going to be allowed back out, but excellent work by all involved to get a barrier looking barrier-shaped again. Yeah,
that looks like it's ready for its next impact, doesn't it? Hopefully not in this session.
Yeah.
Hopefully not in this session, but yeah, good work by the MSV staff and marshals to get that ready again, and hopefully we'll be underway soon enough. It's interesting, we're half a second off the qualifying record from last year, which was done on medium tyres. I think it's just the hot weather. Hot weather always slows cars down a little bit, but it sort of also makes me think, you know, with new soft tyres perhaps to come for some, including Ash Sutton, maybe we will get a time in the 29, sorry.
So the clerk of the course just walking under the timing tower out of shot. Dave White going back to race control. We understand George Gamble is not going to be allowed back out because partly the amount of damage, and you could also argue that he was the cause of the stoppage. His accident triggered that red flag, so the barrier needed repairs, and because of his off, the team and the engineers having a look at the state of the car. So the Speedworks crew with a busy afternoon and evening ahead to get that match fit for tomorrow. So cars are being dropped down, the mechanics there ready to pull them backwards, and I suspect in about 10 seconds or so's time they're going to be given the indication from Ian Watson, the clerk of the course, on the team's radio channel to say there'll be a green flag, and there you can see everybody is set to go. James Gornall returning to the championship this weekend, taking over the seat of Jack Butel. Green light, green flag, we're back up and running then. The clock starts once more. Nick Halstead's car not ready to go, still up on his jacks, and Speedworks then Toyota Gazoo Racing UK down to 2 cars for the balance of the session. This is where George Gamble sits nervously to see how far he might drop.
Yeah, and he probably will be nervous, but it's done now. He was 17th, the best chance for others to go quicker, but that's how it goes. Clearly the damage was not just at the back of the car, was it? That front splitter was hanging off, and there was clearly more damage than he would like to have hoped anyway.
This is Andrew Watson going down the pit lane then in the Car Store Power Max Racing Vauxhall Astra, the Jack Sears Trophy Championship leader. Jack Sears Trophy for a driver who has not scored an overall podium coming into this season. So he and Michael Doble and Sam Osborne have been disputing that over the course of the season. George Gamble had done his best lap on the lap before he had his off, and 17th he is currently. Let's see where he ends up. Aidan Moffat is the slowest, but he'd lost the lap time to track them into Buses. Colin Turkington has had a lap taken off him, so has Ricky Collard and Michael Crease, I mentioned. Jake Hill biding his time
with what looks like a brand new set of soft tyres, so he's obviously waiting for the right track conditions, but those tyres look very unmarked and fresh, don't they? Yes. So this will be when he gets those up to temperature, it'll be a lap to watch, won't it?
Yeah. They're going out of Stirling's then. Colin Turkington chasing after Adam Morgan, whose race engineer Steve Farrell has in the last couple of seasons returned to racing himself in historic Formula 4 2000. Steve has now decided enough's enough, and he's not only retired from racing but made that decision on race day at Croft, and within 20 minutes had sold the car. So he came home with a big fistful of cash, and he's now concentrating on being a race engineer. Adam Morgan's had a couple of second places this year that almost have gone unnoticed really. He's not had a win, but he's been adapting to a new team in the car that he drove last year, but of course now run out of Dick Bennett's stable rather than the family Sicily Motorsport squad. There is Adam down through Graham Hill Bend. He's been a race winner here in the past in the Mercedes-Benz A-Class days, so the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit has been kind to him over the years.
Yeah, he had hopefully all of his bad luck in practice session 1 when the car ground to a halt fairly early in free practice 1 with a drive shaft or prop shaft broken, but hopefully that's his bad luck out the way for the weekend. He does seem to have a lot of bad luck, because poor Adam Morgan, but he's always in the thick of the action.
And now married, Adam Morgan, of course, and comes in towards Westfield then. So where is he in the times at the moment? 6th fastest. Pit lane is still fairly busy, actually. Not everybody venturing out yet.
Yeah, well, actually, I think a lot of them are in to do tyre crosses, having gone out, and the front-wheel drive cars in. Jake Hill hasn't left. No. Maybe he's just waiting till these front-wheel drive cars go out, so they're on their quick laps when he's out. But he's still sitting in the pit lane, and the car is up on its jack still.
A very tenuous ITV Jake Hill link, courtesy of broadcaster Andrew Marriott, who was telling me, Andrew in 1983 covered the British Saloon Car Championship live for World of Sport from Donington. Andrew says he's now in the walking group with Jake's gran. So there we are.
Very tenuous
link, but he got it out of the way. Put that one to one side. So now we can start to look for lap times to be improved, and Rory Butcher, team principal John Gilbert, was telling me this morning there should be a circuit kind to the Toyota. Of course, it's the 3rd different engine that Speedworks have run in 3 years. You know, they went from one Toka engine to another, and now to this Neil Brown unit. So again, it's been another season of learning about the engine and getting the car to work with it, getting the weight right, and now you've got to the end of the season. They'd almost like the season to begin, not end.
Yeah, well, they're sort of following on the same lead as Accelerate, by going down their own route with the engine. But their first year with the engine, has sort of coincided, if you like, with the second year of the M Sport engine being quite strong. So, for example, in the Power Max car, Vauxhalls with the M Sport engine, that's actually been a very competitive car.
Just had a lap taken off Nick Halstead in his Accelerate Run Hyundai. Yeah, I mean, the M Sport engine, the Toka engine, as long as it's the Toka badged engine to the customer, it's never going to be rubbish, is it?
Exactly, and you know, okay, in its first year it had some teething problems, but it's proved to be very competitive this year, and because Toka can monitor all of the speeds and boosts and everything else, they can tell whether that engine is at a disadvantage or not, and clearly they always want the Toka spec engine, if you like, to be competitive. Much harder and much costlier to develop your own engine.
Yeah, and the whole idea of that engine was to give teams a leg up, not to let them win, but to give them a leg up to be competitive, to fight, be in the mix, attract sponsors. Ricky Collard then has just used all of his hybrid for that lap as he comes up towards the line. Stephen Jelly's had a lap taken off him, so he remains 7th. Collard goes up to 8th.
Yeah, improvement for Collard. He gets to a 30.5. Which is half a second off the quickest so far. After our interview, this sort of after second practice, and Ricky was talking about how wild it'd been, I said, just put together a nice clean lap, Ricky, you're quick enough. He's always been quick here. I think he wants to make up for that lost win earlier in the year when he for track limits, but he's always been quick here, as has Butcher. Butcher was very quick when he was driving the Motorbase Fords, wasn't he?
Yeah, my one fear with Ricky is that he becomes the next Johnny out in the touring cars, wins on the road, has it taken off him and never wins again, but he is striving to make sure that doesn't happen. Ash Sutton leaving nothing on the table then as he dives into Westfield. Now he's got Tom Ingram riding behind him on the road, not directly behind but close as they come up now towards Sheen Curve, then up towards the end of the lap. Collard was an improver last time, so was Moffat up to 19th, so was Halstead up to 25th, and Ash Sutton down into the second and third sectors. There are 4 sectors to the Grand Prix circuit here, and he comes down now through Clearways into Clark Curve. Great corner this.
It's a great corner, but I don't think this is going to be a lap time improvement despite that massive commitment that he showed through Hawthorns and Westfield. His quickest lap is that is a 29.9. I take it back. Fastest lap so far and the first person in the 29s.
So good effort, 1:29.995, possibly could have been even better, but there you are, with 1 second of hybrid. I mean, it doesn't matter what venue you put him at, Thruxton, Snetterton, Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, all different, all with their own characteristics, and yet, I know it's early in the session to say all of this, but he's up there at the sharp end yet again.
And he did it without setting a purple sector at all. He just gets the whole lap perfect.
That said, because of the stoppage, not that many people have really done a proper run yet. You know, they've done 2 tyre crosses, not just 1. So maybe he's slightly out of sync with others, and we'll see how that translates. That's Dan Lloyd trying to get past Nick Halstead, coming up towards paddock, and Nick takes the line for the corner, so Dan Lloyd's going to have to back out of that. This is Sutton. How's he getting on this lap? Not great.
It's not great, but there have been improvements. Bobby Thompson is up to 5th. Good effort from him so far. He was looking forward to this because having taken... Oh, that was very wide. This is huge commitment, and some would say risk from Ash Sutton, but he was well off the circuit there, wasn't he, at Sheen Curve?
Yeah. He's on target to win the Goodyear Wingfoot Award, which is the championship based around qualifying. That's Dan Camish going through, and he's 6th. And here comes Sutton then. He's not actually set a personal best in any of the sectors, but it has still looked hugely committed. He goes across the line. That was a 30.6. His best is a 29.9. So yes, he did drop a little bit of time, but he stays out ready for another run.
Yeah, just looking to see whether he managed to tow Rowbottom round to a quicker lap, and in fact he didn't on that lap. Rowbottom was a 10th slower.
He's still behind him on the road, but maybe not quite close enough to really benefit. Who else is looking good? Last time around, Turkington 7th. This is Sutton you're riding with. This is Andrew Watson up towards the timing line, 12th fastest. Mikey Doble were with in the other of the Astras. And where is Doble in the time? It's 10th fastest, so he's ahead of Watson, which is what he needs to do for Jack Sears trophy honours.
Dan Camish currently in 6th place. He's pushing on, using all of the road. He must have nightmares every time he comes up to Hawthorne Bend of the year he lost the championship with a lap and a half to go. But all of the Napa Fords are using all of the road and more, aren't they? They're really on the limit.
Now there is Josh Cook, who was fastest in FP2. That gave the team a little bit of a boost, but at the moment he's not fighting for the sharp end of the grid. Admittedly, on this lap he's looking better in the first sector. He is 16th fastest, but with all due deference to One Motorsport, it's another team that must look at this year and think it should have been so much better. This lap should be an improvement, dust settling from somebody's wild ride, but Josh has wrung the neck of this car. He has over-delivered, hasn't he, this year?
Absolutely, yeah. He just hasn't found that sweet spot that he enjoyed in previous years. Remember, these are the Dynamics Hondas that they've taken over the Neil Brown engine in, and it just hasn't gelled for them, whether it's set up, weight distribution, who knows, but it just hasn't given him that feeling to go confidently, and 16th is not really where you'd expect him to be at all.
2 personal bests and yet not a lap time improvement, so big frustration then for Josh Cook. Sutton has pitted from pole, the original pole, so has Butcher, so has Ingram. Collard has had another lap removed, and therefore where is he in the times? 11th. So Ash sits and waits. He'll be listening no doubt to Tony Carosa on the radio, his engineer, just as Tom Ingram will discuss his session with Spencer Aldridge. These 2 great double laps of the championship. Yeah, 2 great team and engineer partnerships that work so well together. And I was asking Marvin Humphreys at Accelerate what they're doing for next year, where they've got some developments in mind, and he said, well, we have got some developments. They're small, they're aero, they're this and that. I told him then that Napa Racing were already on to building their 24 car out of the rebuilt Dan Camish car. He's still in the T car, which is a 23 spec car. They're already incorporating changes in the first build of their 24 car. So that's a worry for everybody, knowing how good the current car is. Ash Sutton's had a lap taken off him now. He's gone through the system, and I don't think that's going to affect the grid particularly. Out he goes with Tom Ingram behind him. So there they are, together on track. More laps being lost, but Ash Sutton is the most significant, even though he remains on pole position.
Yeah, now if I was Ash, I'd let Ingram through, which he has done, and just sit behind him, because that will just wind Ingram up. Mind you, we know that a wound-up Ingram is a very fast Ingram, so maybe that's not the thing to do. We saw that at Donington, but it would just be the old psychological warfare, you know, sitting behind him, getting a toe off him.
Good game, isn't it? The way they play it.
9 minutes to go.
So there is Tom Ingram then, back out on track. Who do we expect a little bit more from?
Well,
Josh
Jake
Cook.
Hill. Jake Hill hasn't done anything, has he? He's 14. And he's got teammates Turkington and Jelly up ahead of him. So you'd think there could be some improvement from Jake.
Yeah, actually, despite our earlier optimism about BMW, it's not been a mega session yet. Now, that said, Colin Turkington 7th is the best of the BMs, and we know he leaves it late, so don't rule him out yet. Others to look good. Bobby Thompson, 5th. In the press this week, he's had the praise of Matt Neal, who's been taking a very close interest in him. All sorts of rumours about next year and where Bobby might be going, and whether we might see Matt and Dynamics in some form back on the grid. Here is Jake Hill back out on track then, 14th for the local driver. The man from Kent.
It's all about establishing connections, and one thing that has come out of Bobby Thompson's year this year has been the ability to impress Matt Neal and engineer Barry Plowman, who have been working down at Team Hard. So when you've got the belief of guys like that who have seen it all and done it all, sometimes they can make some strings happen, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to think we'd all love to see Bobby Thompson in a competitive car. Jake Hill crosses the line, moves up 4 places to 10th.
So that puts him ahead of Doble, Collard and Watson. And I think he's backed out of the next lap, hasn't he?
He has.
Doesn't look that quick. So for the BMWs, Turkington, Morgan, Jelly, Hill is the order, and they're all together, one after the other in the times, but they all want to be a bit higher up. We've talked about Bobby Thompson there. He is heading for the pit lane, and with 7 minutes on the clock, expect a bit more activity then as the cars are sent back out onto the circuit very shortly. Aaron Taylor-Smith comes in. There is Jake Hill staying out, and at the end of this may well build up to another lap. Yeah, Josh Cook is the other one, as you say. Jake Hill also a driver that perhaps ought to be offering up more. Dan Lloyd only 18th. You can argue that he should be higher up than that. It's Nick Halstead at the foot of the times. James Gornall on his return to the championship 25th, taking over the Jack Butel seat.
Yeah, Jake Hill's only gone sort of 3/10 quicker than he went in free practice 1. So he hasn't found a lot of extra pace at the moment. Whether that is track conditions or not, I don't know. But you'd expect to have found a bit more than that on brand new tyres as opposed to free practice 1.
Right, let's have a look at Aidan Moffat now, because he is 19th fastest. And he is the last of the drivers within the magic second. So 19 are within a second of each other, just to show how competitive it all is. But Aidan's another driver who's had a really frustrating season, went to One Motorsport with optimism, but it's just not clicked at all. And we know that he can win races. We know that he can take pole position, and he really benefited, didn't he, from that year as having Ash Sutton as teammate, and how much he learned from it.
Yeah, he did, and he is very fast over 1 lap normally. You see the hybrid flashing, the light in the background. He's got the full allocation of 15 seconds, which, you know, is a generous amount of time round a circuit like this, because using it for 5 or 6 seconds at the start of the long straights gives you a huge cumulative boost in speed. So it should be effective for those with the maximum allowance.
So here, Tom Ingram accelerating down towards clearways,
weaving a little bit, so if this might be the start of a lap.
I was going to say, moving around to get some warmth into the tyres, get the pressures up, ready to pull the trigger now, coming out of Clark Curve, and as he heads up towards the line, Dan Camish is going to rejoin the road to his right there, but Ingram's able to get ahead of the Ford before turning into paddock.
And he's on it. You can see the car twitching about, the car is on the edge, and this is definitely going to be a push lap. White wall tyres, soft tyres. Look, the car's really hooked up round the inside of Graham Hill, of Druids, which indicates the car's got good grip across the curb this side. Don't get track limits on the outside. That was perfect. You can use the curb, but no more.
So on board with Ingram into Surtees now, back on the power, hauls the car out the other side. Ash Sutton has gone yet faster, 129.823. So Ash Sutton stretches the margin. He was down in sector 1, personal best in 2, absolute best in 3, personal best in 4. Put it all together, better pole position lap. Up to 8th, Jake Hill now.
Yeah. On Ingram on this lap has not done any personal bests.
Even though we thought he looked good going into paddock, you're quite right. But here he is up towards Sheen Curve, big bite of curve on the inside, runs it to the very edge, sets it up for that slightly banked left of Sterling's turn in now.
And that sector, 23-second sector, was his fastest. Not purple, but it was his fastest.
That was a personal best, therefore. Andrew Watson's just had a lap removed, and here is Ingram, 1 corner to go. Heading up towards the line, just under 4 minutes are on the clock as he heads towards the line. Third he was at the start of the lap, breaks the beam, stays third. That was a 1 minute 30.159, so 29 thousandths shy of what he was doing earlier on. But right now, as he heads up the hill, there's not that much traffic ahead. The next car he would encounter is Dan Rowbottom's Ford.
Yeah, Mikey Doble has jumped up to 9th. He's got inside the top 10.
In terms of the best sectors, Rory Butcher the best in sector 1, Stephen Jelly in sector 2, Ash Sutton sector 3, Dan Camish sector 4. So 4 different drivers doing absolute best across the sectors, but the pole lap, there it is, Ash Sutton.
Yeah, but the quickest time, if you put those all 4 sectors, are 29.6.
Yeah.
So a couple of tenths quicker than we've got at the moment. It just shows you, though, with 4 different drivers setting the fastest, how difficult and challenging this is, even if you're in the fastest car.
So here's Ingram, and on this lap, again, he's down in sector 1 and sector 2, although he has done an absolute best speed through the speed trap at the end of the second sector, heading down the hill towards Hawthorne. So the commitment is there, but the Hyundai, whoa, bouncing, dancing its way into Sheen Curve, but it's Tom Ingram, so he holds it, and our excitement is unwarranted.
Yeah, this is why we love watching covering qualifying for you, because you see the absolute fastest laps of the weekend and the drivers pushing to their absolute max. I love watching qualifying. Look, every corner we've seen Ingram, he's been right on the edge of a diesel.
So to the line he comes, and the next result is 1 minute 30.184. He stays third fastest. It's great to watch, but he's not improving in the times. 2 minutes to go, 2 more laps he can wring out of this.
Well, I don't think the time is in Ingram. I just think he needs somehow a tiny bit more grip or a change to the car, but with only 2 minutes left, it's not going to happen. Aaron Taylor-Smith wide on the exit of Sterling's.
Dan Camish has had a lap taken off him. Dan Lloyd has had a lap taken off him. So you can tell it's the end of the session. They're trying hard and the laps are disappearing because of track limit offences. Over the line there goes the Castor Powermaxed Astra, Aaron Taylor-Smith at the wheel of it, who came close to a win at Silverstone. He's 15th though here. Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, not quite as Astra-friendly as, say, Thruxton or Silverstone. How's Jake Hill getting on? Well, he's still only 8th, and he's on a slow lap as well, so it's not been a great session for Jake.
Well, he's actually not going to get another lap because he won't get round in time to start another lap, so that's it. Jake Hill will not improve. Maybe he was on a quick lap that time and had a problem, but he's not going to get another lap in. There's not enough time.
There's Bobby Thompson, who is 5th fastest. He normally goes pretty well around here, and I think he's backed out of it, so his session is done. So Bobby Thompson, yes, he won't be able to start another lap. Here comes Tom Ingram, and on this lap, again, he's been down in the sector, so he bails, comes into the pits early, and may well get sent towards the technical checks, Park Fairmay area. But Tom Ingram, outgoing champion potentially, reigning champion, 3rd in the times. Ash Sutton is the fastest. He's seemingly backed off on this lap as well.
Yeah, I don't see anybody on a lap that's going to challenge the Sutton. So that's first blood to Sutton, isn't it? With I'll say provisional pole at this stage, with a few seconds left to run, and that will equal the pole record I talked about. 6 poles in 1 year, and with only 1 second of hybrid.
Yeah.
What is his margin over everyone else if they were all to have the same amount of hybrid? It's incredible, quite incredible. And yeah, another record equalled at least in the books.
6 poles out of just 10 qualifying sessions. And yes, so many different circuits, always with that limitation on the hybrid, and yet he delivers. So there, Tom Ingram goes through the technical area. So he is way forward. James Gordon's just had a second lap taken off him, and he's returned to the championship. 25th he ends. So there is the checkered flag, the session at an end, and Ash Sutton has done it again. So as we've been saying, it's now a record equaling pole of the season. It's 13th of the career. The numbers just keep on falling for champion-elect, dare one call him that. He goes into this now with, as long as he starts from pole, the extra point. There are more and more laps filtering through the system and being taken off drivers, but Ash Sutton, and he often does do this, he finds out where the limit is, loses a lap. He had 1 taken off him, but he's the fastest by 0.2 of a second. And Tom Ingram knows that this championship is getting even harder to keep hold of, because another point has just gone in Ash Sutton's direction.
Well, 0.2 of a second, or 2.5 tenths, is a big chunk of time over the second place car. So that was some qualifying session by Ash Sutton. I'm sure he used his brand new soft tyres, and that may compromise him ever so slightly for the race, but I'm pretty sure he'll be on a very good set of softs for race 1 to try and get everything done and dusted at his first attempt.
Absolutely, because then the pressure would be off, and it's a strange situation for him to come here. He's not quite done it, but he's expected to do it, but he's fully aware that things could unravel around him. But that's the perfect start to the weekend, and with only that 1 second of extra hybrid use compared to 15 seconds around the circuit, it just illustrates how good he is. And there are people that are rather begrudgingly saying, yeah, well, we know Ash Sutton's good, but you know, it's not been a brilliant year. Well, it has. We've had some very good racing, and also you're watching an absolute masterclass. Not just Ash, but the relationship between him and Tony Carosa. Savour it. Enjoy it.
Absolutely. We're watching one of the all-time touring car greats.
Yes, indeed. And Tom Ingram is not that far behind in terms of greatness. Here you've got 2 really exciting drivers, and yet again they're going to slug it out in the 3 races tomorrow. Let's look at the order then at the end of that qualifying session, interrupted as it was. Ash Sutton fastest from Rory Butcher, Tom Ingram 3rd ahead of Dan Rowbottom, and then Bobby Thompson 5th. It's Dan Camish 6th from Colin Turkington, and then Jake Hill. Mikey Doble 9th, and Adam Morgan 10th. Bobby Thompson, the independent pole winner, effectively. Stephen Jelly 11th ahead of Ricky Collard, and then Andrew Watson. 14th to Ronan Pearson ahead of Aaron Taylor-Smith, then Josh Cook, Tom Chilton, Dan Lloyd, Dexter Patterson and Aidan Moffat to round out the top 20. 21st, Sam Osborne ahead of George Gamble, so he didn't drop that much, but stayed ahead of Darrell DeLeon, Michael Crease, James Gornall, Jade Edwards and Nick Halstead. That gives Ash Sutton a point for pole. He also wins the Goodyear Wingfoot Award, and not only that, he can talk to Louise.
Yeah, Ash just shaking hands with Tom and the guys as well. I mean, that is the start to the weekend that you need, isn't it?
Well, that's 1 point extra. Jesus. Oh, I had a scary old lap there. We had 3 laps good enough, I think, for pole, so we're one of them. I knew there was a couple of attempts on the table. I had a big moment through Hawthorns and ended up all over the grass and still managed to go quicker, so I knew there was a bit more there, and I wanted it, despite whether we needed it or not. I just wanted to prove what we're capable of doing.
You can't help yourself, can you? When you know it's there, you just want to grab it.
Just never dangle me a carrot, that's all I'm going to say, because I'll have a go at it. But yeah, Napa Racing UK have done an absolute mega job this season, delivering me a car. We've had a big chunk of poles this year, and I think that's 6 now, so can't thank them enough, can't thank Alliance Motorsport or Alliance Racing enough, and all my partners, Cataclean, Crown, G-Car, everyone that's involved. It's been absolutely phenomenal so far.
Well, as you say, 6 poles, that is a new record. That's another record that you've got already this season.
Yeah, we laughed and joked, didn't we, off camera on Friday, that if there's some more records to be had, we'll have a go at them, and that was one of them. So I'm glad we've achieved that, and I believe it's signed something off as well, which is quite nice. So yeah, it's a mega way to start the weekend.
Well, congratulations on that, and congratulations also on being the recipient of our first piece of silverware to be handed out this weekend. This is, of course, the Goodyear Wingfoot Award, being aptly handed over by Mickey Butler, who looks after all things for Goodyear. It's a special thing, isn't it? It's a mark of just how strong you've been this season in qualifying.
It is, and if we laugh and joked at the start of the year, qualifying has never been my forte, and this was always a dream to try and get. So to come here, do it, and in the position we're in, it's mega. So I'll take the right one, and that's well deserved for the team as well.
Well done, congratulations, and well done, front row start. That was a good one, wasn't it?
It was. Practice wasn't so straightforward. I think a lot of people struggled with the way the track is today. It's really, well done Ash, good job. It's been really kind of edgy out there, and it's been hard to piece a lap together. So that lap just felt so smooth and comfortable. And I didn't really, like I said earlier, I didn't know where it would put me, but I knew it was good. He just has to go and pip me though, doesn't he? It would be nice to have got pole. Why does he have to do that?
Do you know what? You're not the first person who said that this season. But having said that, I mean, to come second to a man who's just set a new record for all-time poles is no mean feat, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's great to be in between the 2 championship protagonists. I'd love to be fighting for the championship myself. Isn't to be this year, but we'll come back stronger in 2024.
Well, let's just talk, as you say, in between the 2 championship protagonists. How does that play into your thinking? Because obviously you want to be racing for yourself, you want to be racing for more silverware, but I'm sure you will be mindful that there's 2 guys going out there for the championship at the start of race 1.
Yeah, I think so. You've got to be mindful of what's on their minds. They've got to fight for finishing races, and they've got to beat each other. My goal is to, finish off this season on a high, so I've got to block that out and just do my own thing. I think I want to get a good start off the line tomorrow and try and be racy from the start and see if I can give Ash a race. I think if he gets some clean air, he'll be hard to beat. So yeah, we'll better be fast on the first lap.
Got feisty written all over your face. I love it. Right, let's get a final word with Tom. You were just hanging it all out, but just missing that final little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to, haven't you? When it's like that, you've got to try and get everything out you can. So. Yeah, not quite in the sweet spot. The car's feeling all right, but just not able to be quite what we're after. So, we've obviously still produced a good time, and we're right up where at the sharp end, but yeah, not quite where we needed it to be, but still in a good place. It feels quite telling of this year, really, doesn't it?
Do you think there's more that you can find between you and Spencer and the guys overnight in terms of the setup of the car?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I mean, look, I spoke to Alan as soon as we came out. He said, I almost didn't want to interrupt you because you were deep in conversation with Spencer. And I said, it makes no difference. Even Ash and Tony will be, I can see just over your shoulder. You're never satisfied. Even if you've got the perfect car, you can still find something else. So there's more to find. Everyone else will find a little bit more, I'm sure. But yeah, there's always tweaks. We'll go for the tweak of the week and see if we can't find it.
So what's the game plan tomorrow?
Maximum attack, I think it's got to be. Go hard at the start and go hard all the way through the race. To be honest with you, it's something that we need to try and get ahead of Ash with. But he's starting in a good place, and we saw from where we were last year. You know, role reversals in that regard. If you can get a good start, if you can get away, if you can lead the way. Realistically, it's only if we get a safety car thrown into the mix that it might spice things up. But let's wait and see.
See you out there. Look forward to it. It's going to be spicy. Back to you guys.
You're not wrong, Louise. It's promising to be another great day. No matter what happens in the championship, of course, there are 3 fantastic races to look forward to. Ash Sutton, championship leader, pole position for the first of those 3 races, and all the action coming up tomorrow on ITV4 from 10:45. It's going to be a great day of racing from Brands Hatch, no question about it. There's more action to come as well here this afternoon, because the Formula 4 cars are coming to the grid, and Richard John Neal and Phil Blue will talk you through the action in a few moments' time. So join us for Touring Cars live from Brands Hatch tomorrow. For now, from Louise, from Tim and from me, goodbye.